a lot of us get so overwhelmed by information. I call it mind overload, where there's, lots of different people out there giving advice, and sometimes they overlap, sometimes they completely contradict each other.
Yes.
Um, and I think just being able to learn, detailed scientific information on, how your body works and like, practical how-tos to implement, healthy lifestyle is so valuable as part of your program.
Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Reshape Your Health podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Morgan Nolte, and today we have another Zivli member on our show. Her name is Rachel, and she is a delight. She's been really instrumental in how we've thought about community and community building inside of our Zivli program. And she's just here to share her story and her results with you today. So, Rachel, thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me and letting me kind of share my story.
Yeah, so let's kind of start from the beginning. If you want to just share with the listeners, when did your weight story really start for you?
Unfortunately, I feel like it's been almost all my life. I come from a family that's very food oriented, and so just have really struggled with it. And as part of my story, I joined Weight Watchers when I was 23, and I lost my first 50 pounds and became like a lifetime member. And then, like so many of us, gained it all back and kind of rinse and repeat that story throughout pretty much my adult life. I did in 2014, I relost, I think it was about 35 pounds and kept off most of my weight since then. As part of my story, have dealt with some other health issues in the past, few years, and so that it's kind of a combo of dealing with weight and dealing with gut issues.
Hmm. Okay. And when you were like losing the weight and then regaining it, what was that like for you just psychologically?
Yeah, it's just incredibly frustrating. It's a lot of hard work and focus to lose weight. I think so many of us think that once we hit the goal, it's like, oh, great, we can just start eating the way that we used to eat. And, over the years, the lesson for me has been that, that's not reality. You have to choose to have a healthy lifestyle, and that includes, the food that you put in your body.
Yep. So was it more of like a diet and then the diet's going to stop and then I'm going to just resume my old lifestyle? Is that kind of why the weight came back on, do you think?
Oh, yeah, for
Okay.
sure. And I think too, for me, just high pressure jobs that I had and not really spending time and energy on, the food that I was eating. And
Right.
so it just kind of, gradually crept on. And then it was like, oh my God, how did I do that again?
Well, what was the impetus for you to really take control of your health and lose the weight, but lose it in a way that you could keep it off?
Yeah, really good question. It's kind of funny. 2014 was my 20th wedding anniversary year. And for whatever reason, I decided that, many of us think this way, like take an anniversary date or whatever it is. And like, I want to lose. And I did that. And then I guess something in me triggered I don't want to keep doing this. I don't want to keep yo-yoing and doing that. So I implemented, I feel like better tracking and just better eating in general. And then also starting in about 2018, I started having a bunch of gut issues. I'm pretty convinced it's probably from years of yo-yo dieting and just not eating the right types of food. And so that started me on a whole nother path of trying to figure out like what's the cause, what can I do to nip that? And so that's been part of my journey, gosh, for the last 7 years now.
That's a long journey for gut health
Yes.
issues, especially to Because I feel like for gut health, a lot of times it's like Pandora's box. There's so many different tests you can run and so many different things that you can try. Is that getting better over the years?
I've tried lots of different things. I'm on my third naturopath, who I actually really, really like. I feel like she's probably the best person I've worked with. And I still have issues, but I feel like, part of my focus in my life right now is just healthy lifestyle. And so I feel like whatever it is that I need to do to feel well, I will do it. And so, there's some days that it's a struggle, and it bums me out that I have to keep, doing it and focusing on it. But at the same time, I think, wow, if I didn't, I probably would not even feel as well as I do now.
Yes. So it's kind of like, well, yes, it's still work, but the reward is worth it. The reward is
Yeah.
worth the work. Yes.
Hmm.
Makes sense.
Yeah, for
So it
sure.
sounds like you've had a long journey with your weight. What drew you to Zivli specifically?
I heard your interview on Drew Pruitt in February last year, and first of all, your programs sound scientific based. I like that. I liked you in particular. I felt like you were really down to earth and practical. And I'm a Midwesterner originally, and that's kind of my people that I tend to gravitate to. I actually, as Weight Watchers, and I know you know this, but Weight Watchers canceled all of their community meetings. And for people like me who went on a regular basis, it was a huge bummer. It was a huge loss of community for many of us. And so I was looking for another program that would give me just a lot of good information, but also another community to be a part of. And that was super important for me.
Yeah. So can you just describe a little bit more what that meant when they canceled all community meetings? Like, what was it like before? And
Yeah.
what was it like after? And why do you think they made that decision? I'm just curious about that.
So I live in San Francisco, and having attended in-person meetings for years, getting to know other people, but not real well, because the meetings a lot of times would be maybe 30 to 50 people. So there were a few people that I got to know. As COVID came along, it all moved, onto Zoom. And then after COVID dissipated a bit, one of the leaders started doing meetings, and it was in person, and they were much smaller. So we got to know each other better. And that was really nice. And so within they gave us like 2-week notice, which was horrible. And
Oh,
it just felt like a punch in the gut to so many people who were part of the program, and felt very much like I've worked for corporations for years. It was very much of a corporate decision, not really thinking about how people feel to be part of something. And so, for me, I was angry about it, but the really cool thing was, my leader actually decided to start his own company. And
mm,
he took, some of the Weight Watchers members and put together like a weekly meeting. And I'm actually part of that, which is I really am very grateful for. I've gotten to know like 30 people much better. Some of them have become really close friends of mine based on him taking action really quickly to do that.
yeah. And I think the more that I learn about health and weight loss, and we have emotional brain training coming to the program, EBT. I'm talking about a lot because I'm obsessed with it. And I'm going through the certification program right now. The emotional brain needs connection. The emotional brain learns through experience, not watching videos, not listening to podcasts, not reading books. It's the experience is the learning.
Yeah.
And so the other thing is being uncomfortable.
Hmm.
So many people, I think, especially after COVID, are uncomfortable conversing with people, are
Hmm.
uncomfortable connecting with people. I think many people feel like they're being an inconvenience to somebody else, or they were shamed in the past for being vulnerable or authentic. And so I think it's the more that I learn, and it's a very evidence-based program that we put together, and
Hmm.
EBT is evidence-based. And that's why I'm so excited to have this mindset and thought and feelings system come into Zivli that is 0% woo. It's like, it is all evidence-based, because sometimes
Yeah.
with your own mindset stuff, it can get a little bit woo-woo, which turns some people off. And so I love that EBT is based on neuroplasticity, neurophysiology. It is literally how your hormones work. And the emotional brain needs connection. It needs support. It needs nurturing, especially for people at brain states 3, 4, and 5, which are kind of the more stressed out ones, which is where most people live if they have weight issues.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just such a no-brainer for us to put more of a focus on that community and to do what we can to the best of our ability to support our members, obviously like with customer support, but peer support. So,
Yeah.
because we can't, as much as we would love to love on every single person, we have to foster that love between members and that connection
Mm-hmm.
between members. And you were just one of the people to really highlight the importance of that to us. And I will forever be grateful to you for that. So what do you feel like, having gone through the program, was the most valuable for you? Or has it changed? The longer you're a member, then different things become valuable.
One of the things that I've really liked about your program is just how scientific based it is, and really diving into the chemistry of how our body works. There are very few programs, or you can get a lot of information obviously on the internet, and it can feel super overwhelming, but it's not together into content that's cohesive and comprehensive. And so that's one of the things that when I started the program and I went through all of the modules and stuff, I was really blown away by high quality your content is. I can't even imagine the number of hours that you guys spent to put it all together. So that was really important. The other thing I think is just for me personally, having tracked my weight for years and being part of a Weight Watchers program, just learning a lot more about, carbs, fat, protein, specifics around that, because, I thought I was kind of all knowing, and it was like, no, I really wasn't. Especially one of the things, especially for me too, I'm in my 60s, and the protein aspect, I really was not getting enough protein, and it's still a struggle every day, but it's something that I never really even thought about before. So that's something that is pretty important. The other thing, I think the biweekly coaching that you guys provide is great. I don't participate all of the time, but when I do, I just again feel like the quality is there. But the other part is the community aspect of it. And so often people like me and other people that I'm sure are part of the program, or maybe even interested in the program, feel alone. Sometimes you just feel alone, like I'm the only person that's thinking this, or I'm the only person that feels this way about, my struggle. So it's really good to meet other people that not only can relate to your journey, but also may have some tips to share, things that they do that's been really helpful for them, or just hearing their stories about, how they've done and some of the things that they've implemented in their lives to help them to, lead a healthier lifestyle. So
Mhm.
I think, and then the other thing, and I'm happy to go into this a little bit more, but you implemented pods.
Mhm.
So I started a pod. There's 3 of us that are in it, and we meet pretty much almost once a week. And that's been invaluable to all 3 of us. We've become pretty good friends. And we all have very different kind of lifestyles and backgrounds, but I think that being able to share like our journeys together has been really helpful and supportive. So I appreciate that.
Yes, and I've heard from another one of your pod members who said the exact same thing, that it's been really valuable, and the connection and the support and the community aspect is important. And I think, I don't know about you, but inherently I'm such an introvert and I shy away from community.
Hmm.
Part of the EBT certification process is we're supposed to call somebody in our group every day.
I heard, yeah.
Yes, and do a connection message or a connection call. And it's very simple. It takes no more than 5 minutes. And at the beginning, I was very resistant. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to play phone tag. This is going to be so annoying. And what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is they don't pick up their phone and you leave a voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
And you still get a surge of dopamine, the feel good hormone, because you did what you said you would do and what you're supposed to do. And you processed your emotions, and they get a surge of dopamine because they also got that connection on voicemail. That's literally the worst thing that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like when people are playing out different scenarios on getting outside of their comfort zone. It's like, well, what's the worst thing that can happen if you do get outside of your comfort zone? You grow, you learn, you positively impact somebody's life, and you positively impact your own life. What's
Mm-hmm.
the worst thing that can happen if you stay in your comfort zone? Like you're already living the worst case scenario.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You got nothing to lose there.
Yeah.
Or
It's
you keep
interesting
getting worse.
that you said you're introverted. I'm kind of in
Mm.
between, but my career has all been very about appearing extroverted and dealing. I was a community manager for over 20 years, and it's funny sometimes, like when you don't feel good or you just, for whatever reason, it could be emotional, it could be physical, it could be a combo. And most of us tend to not want to talk to people when you're like that. But then when you do, then you realize, wow, that was like a really good thing that I did, because
Mhm.
it did push me out of my comfort level and I did learn something. And maybe I helped somebody else that was feeling that way too. And sometimes that's not apparent, but it does happen. It's like you say something and then it just resonates really well with somebody else.
Yes, it does. And I think I love everything that we're doing regarding building the community aspect of Zivli and doing it in a safe way.
Hmm.
Because the more that I'm learning about it, it has to be safe to be authentic and vulnerable. So that's another thing that EBT is going to be bringing in, is just these really structured community guidelines on how to give a connecting message without violating any personal boundaries, without
Hmm.
giving unsolicited advice, in doing it in a way that's kind and loving and good for the other person. Man, I'm so excited.
Wow, that's going to
Yeah,
be great. Yeah.
it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear a little bit more about your results, both
Hmm.
tangible and intangible. So the numbers and the feelings.
It's funny, I remember as I started the program with you and you mentioned people who want to be perfect at the program. And I know I tend to be like that. And so I'm not perfect. And that's pretty much in life. And it's something that I still kind of grapple with. But there are a lot of things that I have implemented. And so happy to share some of the things that I've implemented that
Mm.
I think are pretty important for me. One is, and I've mentioned this in meetings, is writing in my journal every day.
Yeah.
So that was something that literally for years, Morgan, like it was like I knew I should type thing, and I just didn't. And for whatever reason, lots of reasons why I didn't do it. And so through your program, I started doing it, and I did I do the four basic kind of points that you recommend. It takes me about 10 minutes every morning to do it. And so that's been great. I've been doing that, I think, probably 8 or 9 months now. So that's huge for me. The other thing that I'm doing is 2 strength training workouts a week with a personal trainer. Exercise for me has always been a struggle. It's been something that it's easy for me to make an excuse why I don't do it. And so the cool thing is my personal trainer literally lives like in my neighborhood. So I've connected, talk about community, right? I've created like a really good connection with him, which makes me want to go and see him twice a week. And so I have been incredibly consistent with that. Even when I don't feel well, sometimes I go. And so that's been great because again, as I've gotten older, realizing that like it's not just about walking and some other stuff, like I have to be building my muscles up.
Mhm.
And I'm doing really well with that. Yeah. And he works on balance with me too, balance and kind of strength in general. I've always had water every day, but I make sure and I track every single day my water. So I drink at least 80 ounces of water a day, and that's super helpful. Another thing that when I joined your program, I was really having a lot of issues with sleep and frustrated over it. And so I've had an Apple Watch, but I got an Aura Ring. And so I track my sleep, steps, and heart rate every day. And I try not to be obsessive about it. But it's definitely helped me to be more focused on going to bed at the same time every night and getting up around the same time every morning. I have tried intermittent fasting. I usually definitely do it on the 2 days that I work out, strength training. I'd never done that before. So that was through your program. I used to, obviously, as part of Weight Watchers, I used to use their app. I now use the Carb Manager app, and I am not always great about tracking, but I've been trying to track more lately because I have gained a little bit of weight, and I will not allow myself to put on a bunch of weight again. It's just no way. So just trying to, track what I eat and just be conscientious of, the carbs, fat, and protein. But for me, again, mostly kind of focusing on the protein aspect of it.
Yeah. And you mentioned the emotional part was the hardest for you. Can
Yeah.
you elaborate a little bit more on that? Meaning, what, how does that manifest in your life when you say the emotional part is the hardest part?
I'm an overachiever. I'm just going to be
Yeah.
straightforward about it. I'm an overachiever, and I'm a person that as soon as I get up in the morning, I make lists of stuff that I need to get done in my head. Sometimes I write them down. That is putting stress on myself every single day of all of these things that I need to get done. And what I try to do from a health standpoint or healthy lifestyle standpoint is make sure that if I'm doing my list, that I have things every day that are helping me with my health.
Mm-hmm.
But there are days that I get really frustrated. I get bummed out about my gut issues and some of that stuff that's still going on. I've been dealing with inflammation for about a year now, and still don't really have that nipped. Kind of overall, again, and being part of a program like Zivli and knowing that I'm not alone. There are other people that have issues as well, and we're all in this together to, just lead a healthy life. I keep telling myself this is my journey. My path is to try to be as healthy as I can.
Mm-hmm. And I think in the hard moments, because we all have days like that. I had a day like that yesterday, just losing the postpartum weight, progress over perfection. And this is what progress looks like. Like,
Mm-hmm.
after I had the baby, I was like taking a bath and your belly's all big but it was getting smaller over time. And I don't know, a couple of days before that, I probably said like, oh, I wish this belly was gone. And then I kind of caught that thought and I'm like, that belly just created a human being, Morgan. Like, be patient yourself and give yourself grace. And then a few days later, I said, this is what progress looks like. This is what progress looks like. And I don't know, I just think that that was an encouraging thought to myself, and that we do a lot of that type of thought work inside of Zivli, like really catching your thoughts and
Mm-hmm.
saying, is this serving me? Is this rational? And if it's not, how do we kind of change it to a more positive and productive thought? So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and we're going to just do even more of that with the EBT stuff that we're rolling out. So I love hearing about how those habits have changed, because that's really what it's about. And that's how you know that you're going to see long-term results. If it's just a diet, it's not gonna work long-term. Any other like intangible or tangible results you wanted to share regarding like blood work or?
Yeah, so I'm not sure I'm sure you know of Dr. Hyman and his Function
Mhm.
Health. I joined that last year in July, and you can go and get like really deep blood work done.
Yeah.
So I did that in July, I did in January, and I'm going again next week to do that. That's been really helpful to me to get that really in-depth blood work done. I not to so I'm part of the Kaiser Permanente system, and it's good for what I call kind of just average healthcare, but it's not good into like diving really deep into, what's really going on with people, especially as people get older. So I pay out of pocket for a lot of things, and I decided that that was just really important for me. So the fun thing about Function Health and their results is they give you like an age that,
Oh, interesting.
that you're at. And so my age is 49, and I was like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's great. I'll take it. So it will be interesting to see. I'm really excited about being able to see like results from last year at this time and just how I'm doing. And again, working with my naturopath on like different supplements and other things that to help me to improve some of my blood work. The other thing is that I do is I kind of say I straddle between function health and just regular healthcare that most of us have. And it's it's frustrating at times to do that, but again, it's something that's part of my overall journey that I think is really
Yeah.
important. And I've learned a lot, and I've actually pushed Kaiser on some stuff that they've told me that, oh, that's just normal. And I'd be like, no, I'm sorry, but that's not normal.
Mhm.
And it's some of what I've gotten back hasn't made me happy, but at the same time, I feel really good about pushing a system on getting the kind of care that I feel like I deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have every right to do that. And you're
Hmm.
benefiting other people who may not have the intelligence or personal power to speak up for themselves. So
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Um, Two more questions for you.
Yeah.
So, what would you tell somebody who is considering joining Ziply?
I think just again, meeting like-minded people who are, striving to live a healthy lifestyle. That's really important. And
Mm.
there aren't a lot of programs out there that do that. I think that a lot of us get so overwhelmed by information. I call it mind overload, where there's, lots of different people out there giving advice, and sometimes they overlap, sometimes they completely contradict each other.
Yes.
And I think just being able to learn, detailed scientific information on, how your body works and like, practical how-tos to implement, healthy lifestyle is so valuable as part of your program. The other thing is, getting your excellent coaching is so great. And, as new members go through the program, the weekly meetings I think are really, really important and really great to help to ask questions about the program and just share, results as people are going through it. But so often you go through programs like that and it's like, the people that offer it, it's like, okay, the program's done, you're on your own. And
Right.
I love that you continue to offer, coaching meetings,
Yep.
opportunities to be part of a pod and continue to have a small, tight community, also other, community aspects of the program. That's how you keep people engaged in part of programs.
And to me, it was very important to have that lifetime access because people need it. People
Mm-hmm.
need support for life. And I'm like, I don't want to compete with Amazon with like a subscription just so they can like ask us a question or, come to a drop-in coaching call. Like we need to honor their efforts by showing up
Mm-hmm.
for them too. That's kind of
Mm-hmm.
how I view it. And then also just in physical therapy and healthcare in general, I'm very big on like consistency of care. I would always get very upset when they expected me to just like hand off a patient to another therapist for the day so that I could go do someone else's eval. And I'm like, these are my people.
Yeah.
So I have that like almost like a mama bear mentality of like, if I'm going to help somebody, I am going to do everything that I can to help them. And
Mm-hmm.
I view that as my responsibility. It's kind of like if you think of a football field and there's the 50-yard line in the middle, I'm going to come all the way up to the 50-yard line. And that person has to meet me there. That person has to meet me at the 50-yard line. They have to do the work. They have to get that experiential learning, but I'm going to be there. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
how I view it. Um,
Yeah.
that's really, really great advice. And I really appreciate that positive feedback because you can tell this is my mission in life. Like, this is my why, this is my passion. And when I left physical therapy, I said, come hell or high water, this is going to work because it's on my heart and it has to, and people need it. So that makes me very happy to hear that you've had a good experience. All right. My last question for you is, what advice would you give a new member? So somebody who just enrolled in the program and they're getting into the onboarding module and they're kind of getting excited to get started. Maybe they're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Hopefully they don't have buyer's remorse, but just in case they do, what advice would you give that new member?
Like anything in life, you have to put effort into something to get something out of it. And if people aren't willing to do that, then they shouldn't be part of it. And I think that, there's a lot of information in your program and it can feel overwhelming at times, but at the same time, it's like the best information out there. I swear to God, you guys, again, I don't know how you put all that content together, but it's really
Gosh.
pretty fantastic. And, but again, it's like it does take some work and some time to do it, but it's so valuable. And this is the kind of the mindset switch is that you have to put time into yourself. It's not for anybody else, but for yourself. And the program's there as a really good opportunity to really learn and grow and connect with others. And so do it for yourself. Not for Morgan, not for anybody else, but for yourself. And then you'll find that the value is there and you'll want to continue down that path and realize that this is helping me. And then from a community aspect, gee, maybe I can help somebody else by sharing my journey.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you're doing here today, and I really appreciate it. And I also like to think of the ripple effect because so often when one person changes, the people around them notice.
Mm-hmm.
And then they ask and they're like, oh, I'm doing this. And they're like, I might try to eat a little bit less sugar. I'm not having him on the podcast because he's just like too shy and he's a family friend. But one of our members, he's, I think, in his 60s. He has three
Mm-hmm.
adult children, and they've always been on him to run a half marathon with them. And he did it and he beat his children.
Oh, wow. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes, but to their credit, I think the daughter that ran it had an injury, and then the son that ran it was
Mm.
ill that day. But still, he definitely got bragging rights for beating his kids in the half marathon. And it's just so cool to see that, he was investing in his health. He was reducing his sugar intake. He was exercising. And then it really inspired, his wife and his daughters to lower their sugar intake. And that generational ripple effect is so incredible to me. Um,
Yeah.
and then just to kind of speak to how I put it all together, like a crazy mad scientist woman is what that was like. So um, I started this business when my oldest, who is now 7, was 4 months old. Craziness. And but through that entire pregnancy, postpartum, I was deep in the research. I was deep in reading books and research articles, and I knew that prevention was my passion. There were several iterations of the program. So I think you have the third iteration.
Mm.
So what you see is not the first try by any means.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So but this specific iteration took 6 months to write.
Yeah.
So it's almost like this cloud, and you have all this information about lifestyle and diet and intermittent fasting and exercise and stress and sleep. And it's like, how do I distill this? How do I consolidate this into the best of the best information in a way that people can understand and in an order that makes sense so that they can start to put the pieces together? So to me, it was kind of like I was a puzzle creator, and then you guys got like the pieces to the puzzle, but you still have to put your own puzzle together. It's still your
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle system.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was a crazy mad woman scientist digging through all the research, writing all those video scripts. And then I had to figure out how to edit videos and all that fun stuff too, because I didn't have a team at
Yeah.
that point. But I knew that people like you and people listening needed this information. And so I was determined to figure it out. And that's how I want everybody to view their health journey is you might not know how to do something. You might not know how to track your macros. You might not understand protein. You might not want to exercise, but you know that it's on your heart to get healthy and you know your why and you know how important it is. So come hell or high water, you're going to get it done. It doesn't matter if it takes a long time. It doesn't matter if it takes hard work because your deeper purpose and the reward for getting healthy is so much greater than any effort you have to put into it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I like sharing that story because that's how it directly relates to somebody who's thinking about doing this or who's actively doing it. It's like, you just keep showing up. You just keep putting in the work. You will get the results. And more importantly, you will get the satisfaction knowing that you are living the best version of yourself that you possibly could, because then you're not going to die with any regrets. And then you're going to be able to show up for your life. And like you said, yourself and the people in your life in bigger and better ways that feel more authentic and like free to you. You get your power and your freedom from living into the authentic version that you are like put on this planet to be. And I think that having good health enables us to do all of the other things that we want to do.
Yeah. So well said, Morgan. Oh my God. I don't want to say anything else. You just said it all. But one last thing is I think the participation part is super important.
Yes.
Because if you don't participate, then it's not going to change. And I've seen that in my journey over the 30 some years I've been doing this, is the people that participate, that show up, that try every day are the people that actually do make changes. And then, sometimes people leave things and then they come back because they realize like, wow, actually I was part of something and, I did make some changes and I saw results. And, but yeah, just being part of something, I think is just so important.
Yes, nothing changed. Like if nothing changes, nothing changes. I always say, except for insulin resistance, then things get worse. But you do have to show up. You do have to put in the work. You do have to meet me at the 50-yard line.
Yeah, for
Put your
sure.
reps in. So I appreciate that. And thank you so much for coming on the show, Rachel. It's just been a delight to talk to you today. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And you guys rock. All your team is just a fantastic. They are really, really good people. And I appreciate your passion.
Thank you.